and that is all of the animated things. Again, most of them do have more than one season coming. And then Saturday is when Marvel got into the very, very big, mind blowing news. First, they announced we are in the multiverse saga, which is obviously fitting. We could have assumed that that was coming. It seems to be that they're going to be doing sagas in three phases. One through three. One through three was the Infinity Saga. 4 through 6 is going to be the multiverse saga. And not only that, they announced that out of the blue, Phase 4 is about over. We have She-Hulk and Wakanda Forever, and then bam, Phase 4 is over already, just like that. And we're going into Phase 5 with Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, which we got well, we didn't get a first look at, but the people there
Right.
got a first look at, and we got some stuff, information, and it's just crazy. We got almost all of Phase 5, three things in Phase 6 even, and I guess let's go down the line discussing everything in order because I don't want to just jump the gun and get into the last thing right away. First thing that we got is we got a new trailer for She-Hulk, which comes out next month, and we got a super exciting cameo that proves you do not stop watching after the title because you need to watch until the end. But let's get into that trailer. What did you guys think about that? Did it make you more excited for the show? What are your thoughts on it?
They listened to the complaints for the visual effects because she looks great. She looks fantastic. I love the trailer. I'm here for the fourth wall break. Give it to me. I need it. I'm ready for it. But yeah, no, that cameo at the end, I yelled and screamed and I said, yes, let's go.
You got that. I mean, I've missed Tim Roth since Incredible Hulk. He's one of the most underrated great actors. So the fact that Emil Blonsky's back and we'll see him in Abomination, and then also I'm sure there's a ton of other tie-ins we're going to see in. But yeah, the Daredevil plug at the end. What can you say about that? I mean, it's nuts. Mm-hmm. Nuts.
And it's Daredevil and not just Matt Murdock, because everybody was speculating that Matt Murdock was going to show up because it's a law show. But the fact that we're probably going to get both Matt Murdock and Daredevil in the show is really exciting. So
yeah, I'm super pumped for Daredevil in there, but I do have one concern with Daredevil because he's popping up in I completely just lost my train of thought.
No Way Home?
Yes, he popped up in No Way Home. He's popping up in Echo. He's popping up in She-Hulk. I'm almost worried that the excitement for Daredevil is going to start taking away from the attention of the actual shows themselves, and everybody's just going to be hyper analyzing for the Daredevil cameos.
As long as they don't do what they did with Book of Boba Fett, I think it's fine. As long as it's just like a one episode or, even multiple episodes, but it's just more of a side character that helps with the story.
Right.
I'm okay with. And that's, I will say that I'm not fearful of that with She-Hulk, but I am fearful of that with Echo, just because Echo is a very heavily tied character to Daredevil and Kingpin. With that being said, I'm not that concerned with it because I think with everything that I've been seeing and hearing with everything else that's been leading up to it, I think they're not going to be distracting from the show. I think they're going to be part of the story, but not taken away from Echo. But if there's any series that I would be worried about, it would be that one because of the tie-in with those characters and everything. But I'm not as worried about that with happening with She-Hulk. So,
and we also saw Wong.
Yes,
we saw how he is like everywhere, and he's like the Book of Meditation, like the Book of American Law. I'm like,
it's the Wong CU now.
Yeah. Like I just love it because I mean, what was he doing like in Shang-Chi, just in that ring fighting, and then I will connect it to that. I really wonder what is his role in this whole situation and with the damage control and everything. So maybe it's like a rehabilitation program or something like that. I don't know, but I'm really
he
curious
seems to be gathering up everybody.
Yeah, I love him.
Well, his job is, as the Sorcerer Supreme, his job is to protect our reality, right? So is he collecting these heroes because he's seeing this incursion level event coming? Right. And so he's trying to gather these people together. I do think also, I actually think that the MCU is setting us up to answer a question that actually is a plot hole in the comics, which is, why is it that superheroes are okay, but mutants aren't? And I think given what happened in Civil War with the Sokovia Accords and all that, suddenly they are going to have all of these enhanced individuals that they want to have registered. And these people are dangerous. And now everybody's got powers. And so She-Hulk, while it's going to be funny and all of that, I actually think is going to be addressing a lot of issues and setting up a lot of those issues of racism and bigotry and why it is that some people are okay and other ones aren't, and the randomness of that. And I'm actually really looking forward to them queuing up the X-Men in that way, because I do think it's going to queue up oh my gosh, I'm blanking on the bad guy Avenger team.
Thunderbolts.
It's going to queue up Thunderbolts, but I also think that it's going to queue up this tension between humans and enhanced individuals or mutants. And a lot of times these things happen through the law and through certain people trying to take away the rights of some, and those people fighting for their rights. And that tension boils over into a lot of areas of society. And so I think that there's going to be that too. And I'm really looking forward to Marvel exploring that. And again, you can't escape social commentary in comic books or comic book movies. It's there. And I think it's going to be there in She-Hulk as well.
Absolutely. I think you're 100% right. Especially like the fact that like for certain heroes, like let's say Tony Stark, whatever, it's something that you add on versus something that is genetic that you are born with. Of course, it's going to be heavy. And I love the fact that it's going to start this debate right now, like between the fandom community. So yeah, no, I really love that.
I feel like the show.
I was on the lighter side. I like the buddy cop kind of aspect between Bruce and his cousin, which I think will be really fun throughout the series. But that's just a little thing that I was thinking of. But I'm done.
I got a feeling that that's one episode. By the way, I got a feeling that he's only going to be in the first episode, and then we're not going to see him again.
It's a shame.
That's just that was my impression, is that he's going to be training her in like the first or second episode, and then it's going to be just a one episode contained cameo.
Right.
Unfortunately.
I mean, it is called She-Hulk.
I'm sorry, Michael. I feel like I ruined Christmas for you.
I'll be okay. There's plenty more to come.
All right.
Yeah, I do feel like though, like, you know, off of that, I think a lot of this is going to be like kind of a case by case episode. Like she is dealing with one case, one episode, one case the next, and then, but on top of that, she's also trying to deal with learning how to, you know, have these powers. And maybe Banner won't be in the episodes, but it's like a phone call away. Like, hey, I'm in the alleyway and this guy's beating up this, you know, this person. What do I do? Well, do you feel angry? Yeah. Okay. Well, then, you know, like that kind of situation. But I can see them, because honestly, they have to make, you know, CGI wise, they have to make Mark Ruffalo. They have to bring him into being the Hulk. Then you have to have Jennifer Walters, the Hulk, and then Emil Blonsky, the Hulk, or Abomination. So it's like you have so much of this going on. It's like you don't want to hurt people's eyes in a certain way. So I can see that being, you know, the Hulk only being in one episode. But I'm honestly just excited to see like a new character. That's why I love these shows. Like the idea that, you know, Marvel is kind of pushing new things on everyone, and it's so much at one time. I'm on the opposite side saying like I love these new characters. Like for so long we have been solely looking on Iron Man, Captain America, you know, Hulk, Thor, blah blah blah. It's time to expand, because I mean we have characters from so many different places that it's time to look at, hey, we have this character and we are going to make this character come to real life. And I love that. And I've always liked Jennifer Walters. I thought that if I didn't go into the sports realm of real world, then I would be a lawyer. So Jennifer Walters was also a really cool character that I grew up with. So yeah, I'm excited for the show, and just to see the little people, like we saw Frogman, that was cool. The Wrecking Crew, that was also really cool. So like, I don't know, getting all these people in, and Sean, you're gonna love this. The suit. I am.
There's a suit. Yes,
there is a suit.
I've never been a fan of the yellow red in the comics, and with that being said, it actually looks good. Like all the pictures that Donovan and Amira sent, it actually doesn't look terrible like it does in the comics. It actually looks like it's decent enough that it won't be bad at all. With that being said, I just always hated that color scheme, and so I'll be like, it's not bad. It's probably the highest I'll give it, just because.
And for all we know, they're using it as a gag outfit for somebody to say, that looks like trash, right? Like, but we don't.
Who knows? But I mean, it brings up a whole interesting conversation though, because then it's, well, where does this fit with the Daredevil series from Netflix? Because he's had that suit, and it looks like it's actually the same suit. Like if
right,
you
it
look
almost
at the
looks like he
patterns
just
and everything,
airbrushed
like,
it.
If you look at the patterns and everything, it looks like it's the same suit. So it just begs the question why, that color change and everything, if it's the same person. Now, if it's not the same continuity or anything like that, then that explains it. But if it is, then there's a whole backstory that goes with that as well, too.
Like, I know Vincent D'Onofrio has said like he's playing the same role. I still disagree. I think a lot of these actors, they're not in the story group, whatever these groups like Lucas story group or Marvel. I still think they're variants of what we saw in the Netflix series. I don't think they can just continue. Like, I do think there's a tie in though. So I'm torn on this one because because Born Again is tied to what we saw, but it's almost like redoing it. So if you remember Daredevil, I'm only saying Daredevil is one of my favorite shows of all time on Netflix. Like season 3 was incredible. And Donovan's going to guide us into this show, I'm sure, with the slate of shows that were announced and stuff is announced. But Born Again is basically Daredevil season 3 on Netflix. Like him spiraling into like, do I kill Kingpin? What do I do? Like, is that whole thing? Are they going to do it again? I feel like the Born Again, and look, it's tied to Disney, right? Like we always think of like Star Wars titles have double meanings. Like The Last Jedi, was it Luke or was it Vader? Like, so these double meaning things, I think Born Again could be like Matt Murdock and Daredevil in the MCU is Born Again, and it's a restart and a reboot. We had a lot of theories when we saw Kingpin, who was suddenly like Juggernaut in the end of Hawkeye, like totally unlike before. So I tend to think they're going to be very like different characters with the same kind of essence, but I think it's going to be kind of a restart and reboot. And so I think that suit is a microcosm of that, and it's kind of a throwback. I think to what Jeremy said, I think it's going to be a 1 or 2 episode thing. I think it's going to be a signal to the fans who know Daredevil from his earlier runs in that suit. And then eventually, I don't know if it'll be like a joke or whatever, but I think he'll upgrade or update the suit somehow, and it'll be like whatever. But
it makes me think it's a functional thing. Like it's a special suit that he's using it, going up against She-Hulk or something like that, So that's what I think is probably going to happen in my personal opinion. So
like dark, like the Batfleck suit. With,
yeah, exactly.
Could be his travel suit, This is the suit I take on the road.
Yep.
I have my other one back at the apartment in New York, and this is the one I take with me on the road. And if it gets scuffed up, But Michael, to your point, just really quick, I know that the X-Men animated series, one of the things they're going to do with X-Men 97 is retcon some of the inconsistencies in the original series. And so it could be also that this is part of that timeline, but they're just going to retcon certain details. Like, I forget who it is that designs Daredevil's suit in the show, but I think he dies in the show.
Yeah, Marvin
dies in the show, but maybe Marvin's still alive, right? Maybe they retcon that idea and that Marvin's still making Daredevil his suits, and this is one of his newer designs, So it is a continuity, but just a retconned continuity.
They did say that it was a soft reboot, whatever that means, right? So it could, I mean, it could literally set gonna be another dimension, another Daredevil, another story, or it could be, as you said, retconning like certain details.
Yeah, well, I guess we will see when it comes out. She-Hulk is coming out in just a little over 3 weeks, so we don't have to wait that long. It's going to be streaming on Disney Plus August 17th, and this one is actually coming back for 9 episodes. Disney Plus is bringing it back. The past few shows have been 6 episodes, so we're going back to 9 episodes. It's streaming August 17th through October 12th. So there's going to be a couple months of She-Hulk, so we'll get answers hopefully about what's going on with Matt Murdock and Daredevil throughout that show. But the second thing that they announced is going to be the final thing in Phase 4. We got the first teaser trailer for Black Panther, which they branded not Black Panther 2, it is just Wakanda Forever, which I think is absolutely beautiful. And the trailer, oh my gosh, the emotions, the everything was just stunning. I am super excited for this movie. I think that Black Panther was very underlooked by a lot of people, and this movie is going to show them what they missed with the first one and show them just how great this type of movie can really be. Do you guys have similar feelings? What did you guys think of the trailer? Did you love it? Did you have the same emotions?
I cried.
I was like, I want to talk about. Please, teacher. No, listen. That trailer was, it was made for us. Like, it was in a sense of like, it was the lyrics of the song. Like we literally hear just 2 sentences, and it was the dialogue from Queen Ramona just saying that she lost has she not given everything? She lost her entire family. That like hit me. I think I saw it 3 times in a row, and I cried 3 times in a row. Like, because it is playing with, not necessarily playing, but it's just like it's reminding us of who we lost as an amazing artist, as an actor, but also as a character, as a king, as a Black Panther. But it's also telling us to like, there is like, we should continue, that we should move forward. And I loved everything about it. I mean, Namor, my God, like the aura of charisma and just like shape, that was just awesome. I'm really excited for like literally everything. And I think personally, now that we're gonna like obviously talk who's gonna be the next Black Panther, I think personally it's gonna be Shuri. I think they're gonna go with the comic story and everything, just because of that scene with like the fire and stuff. I'm like, this is probably like her trying to get like the powers of like the Black Panther, but then she's like dreaming or whatever. But yeah, no, for me, Black Panther is always a cultural moment, like a huge cultural phenomenon. The first one was amazing, was incredible, and it's always the best in any phase that it is. Like in this phase, I mean, you can think whatever you want about like Multiverse of Madness, Thor, whatever, but there's no doubt that Black Panther Wakanda Forever is gonna be huge. And I'm gonna buy like 10 tickets, I think, and it's gonna be a bloodbath, just like No Way Home. But I'm really excited. I really can't wait to see it.
Yeah, to go off of what you just said, Amira, like 2 of my takes that I have, some of them you can consider a hot take or whatnot, but this movie is going to break $1 billion within days of release, and I think this is actually going to be better than the Batman in comic book film of this year. I think a lot of that does have to do with like the emotions behind it, but that it's still going to be a great movie. I'm super excited for Namor. That was a character that I've always wanted to see be introduced in the MCU. I love that they're going into like an origin of him. And then just knowing what Wakanda is going through with, the Battle of Endgame and, having people blipped and then come back, and then it's now an open world and like people can come in and leave whenever they want. And so like, they're going through a lot right now, and you really feel that in this trailer. And like to your point, the music, chef's kiss. That transition was, I rewind like several times just to hear the transition into. I was like, yes, this.
Did you guys pick up the symbol? You guys pick up the symbolism behind the music too? Because I did some. It's so incredible. So for like, if you ever want to be reminded of like, there's people that are way smarter than you out there, look behind. I mean, because I don't know how they come up with this stuff. Well, first of all, Bob Marley died of cancer, which obviously we know Chadwick did, but I was looking up because I was like, oh, I remembered something about it. but they both kept working for years after their diagnosis, and both kept their diagnosis a secret because they wanted to keep inspiring people. And obviously what they did, their love and how they shared it, like, I mean, it's the parallel is insane. So like to have that music choice, to what JT was saying, and sorry for interrupting, but like incredible.
And Michael, to your point, right? The lyric "No Woman, No Cry" is about this whole idea of like, without love, there's no tears. Without us loving Chadwick Boseman, and I think we all did, at least in this group, it wouldn't be so sad. It's exactly because we loved him and we grew to care for him, and that it does hurt, and that absence does hurt. And I think it's just amazingly insightful and smart that they're almost beginning the mourning process now for us.
Mm-hmm.
And they planted the seeds so that by November, not that we'll be done mourning, but rather we'll have gone through this process through months of getting to mourn Chadwick Boseman communally. And then we'll get to go to this movie and have that experience on the screen of the Kingdom of Wakanda mourning the death of their king, and us mourning the loss of an actor that we all grew to admire and respect.
It'll be a form of closure for everybody on it.
It really will, I think. And I'm really excited about that. And I think that the music really underlies that symbolism for us.
I'm excited to see if they're going to go, like, it almost looked like it was going to be Wakanda versus like the Atlanteans. Like it's too, the way that I kind of theorized it was, Namor kind of sees that Wakanda is this open nation that needs a leader. And he's like, hey, I'm a leader. I'm gonna go lead y'all. And they're like, no, we don't need you. We're trying to figure it out on our own. But he's like, no, I'm gonna do this. And that's where like the whole war starts. My main thing, and I don't really know how to go about asking this, is how are they going to explain to us how he died?
Mm.
Like I was talking to a buddy of mine. You can't really say he died in battle because we don't really believe that, right? Like we don't, like you don't really say like, oh, Black Panther got killed in battle. Like it's like, really, by who? So are they going to actually use a sickness? Like, is that too soon? I just feel like, I don't know. Maybe a sickness is the way that they have to explain it, but they don't really want to go that route. They're kind of like their hands are forced a little bit in this. Another way that I can see it is they said that, in the battle, against Thanos, he had an injury that just prolonged it. And all of a sudden it just ate, killed him that way, like an injury or something like that. So I don't know. What are y'all thoughts? How do y'all think they're going to?
I wonder if they don't even say anything. I mean, it would be almost poetic Ryan Coogler's pretty brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
I can almost see them just starting the movie and everyone mourning and just saying we've lost our king, and then moving forward and maybe like to your point, like I didn't really think, it's really good that you brought it up, because I didn't, until JT laid it all out, I haven't thought about all the different levels, and they all don't really kind of don't work, right? And so maybe the best way to go about it, and if people complain about this, come on, stop. But if they just kind of have it where it's like, it's a known Nexus event, and it's like, hey, we've lost our king, we need to grieve, and they don't have to explain it away, like, because everyone's going to have that emotion and know the fans are going to be like, we know the reason, and just kind of go from there. Maybe that's the way.
I do think that with Angela Bassett's monologue that she gives in the preview, which, by the way, I'm just excited that they gave her a moment to shine. I think sometimes they bring in these great veteran actors and they don't really give them scenery to chew and just to like dive into a great speech the way that she does. But it sounds like he got taken from her, right? That her tragedy is that her family keeps getting taken away, a lot like Thor's, right? It's like nobody just dies of natural causes. It's tragic. And I agree. I don't think it can happen off screen. And I just want to prepare, because I think this is going to be an idea that I think the consensus would be this is a terrible idea, but it is a way they could go, which is they could CGI Black Panther in the suit and do a Death of Superman type of thing in the beginning just to show, or that something did happen with him with Thanos and the snap, and he did get sick. But this idea that either Thanos took him away, or this idea that another villain took him away. And I think that has to happen, that he gets taken away from Angela Bassett.
Personally, how I saw it, and obviously I agree with you that there could be like a lot of scenarios, but they could literally start the movie at the funeral. Like it could already be established he died and they're going to the funeral, or because anything can take a loved one away. So for me, sickness would be logical because it's something that you cannot control. Even Shuri, who's really, really smart, maybe that was a limit for her. She was not able to invent like something. And so for me, that could be the most likely. I would hate for him to just die off screen fighting X villain, whatever. And to just go back to what you said, JT, I don't think Namor is going to try to like conquer Wakanda or something like that. I saw like, the trailer, there was these ladies on a platform in the middle of the water or something. I think that they might have caused like, I don't know, because obviously Namor's kingdom is in the water and stuff. Maybe they caused something or they touched something that they were not supposed to. So that what would start like a conflict between the two nations, because I don't know much, but like, I that's how I feel like that the conflict will start. I think it would be a bit weird for him to just try to impose his well, from the trailer anyways, he looks like someone who's proud of his people and trying to protect them. So it would be weird for him to go and conquer another nation just for the kick of it, right? So that's
Does vibranium have any toxic side effects that could have affected?
I was thinking that too, yeah. Or the herb. I mean, the herb. Why is she burning the herbs? Maybe it's the heart-shaped herb. I mean, that's also a weird twist, but maybe she's burning it out of like anger, like that it affected him somehow. But then again, it would have affected his father, and
But didn't Killmonger burn all of them in the first one?
That's what I was thought.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that there's like a mountain somewhere or like a space where like you can.
There's always reserves.
Right.
Ways.
Yeah, there's always reserves.
To Amira's point, though, I think I agree in the sense that I think what we're going to see is we know Wakanda's open now, right? And I think if the Atlanteans are underneath Wakanda or nearby, I think Namor is probably was completely content and being happy of being hidden and untouched and left alone. And that's going to be the political commentary that's going to be there, whereas we're like, I'm sure they have advanced technology as well. And they're going to be like, what you're doing, we don't agree with, and you should be shutting people out from Wakanda. And this is not okay. And if he does try to take over, it's probably to be like, you're not fit to rule this air anymore. And we need to like, keep people out. Like, this is not okay. Like, and territorial and whatnot. So I think that's the change that's happened where Wakanda, maybe that's goes back to her speech too. It's like, I've let everyone in, I've opened things up, and I've done this and I've done that. And he's probably like, yeah, it's a mistake. And so
what if Shuri's technology is causing the tectonic shifts? Her technology for drilling the vibranium and mining the vibranium, her technological advances are causing the tectonic shifts below the ocean. And this is Namor's way of, fighting back. And that's the conflict, that it's Shuri's very genius and brilliance that is causing the suffering of others. And there's a battle over it and she's torn. I don't know. I'm thinking there's got to be a connection between what Wakanda does and how it's affecting Atlantis beneath the sea, because why else would Namor expose himself and his people?
Yeah,
I wonder the role that Riri is gonna have in this story. Obviously, she's gonna be there. She's building the suit and stuff like that. But then, is she gonna be involved in the conflict as well? I don't know. Like, but I'm really happy to see her like that.
I feel like she's gonna end up building the suit out of necessity, sort of like Tony did. Like, she's going to be like, she's going to see something about to be happening. So she's like, okay, now I need to, get down to business and actually make a suit and help.
But we saw the Funko, right? In the Funko, she has a sort of like primitive sort of suit. And I don't think that was created in Wakanda because the technology is too advanced in Wakanda for her to build something like that. So I mean, she could have like built it because she would like be involved with like the war with Namor and help Wakanda. But I think she already has in mind the idea of doing the suit already.
I think it's been reported or confirmed or whatever that I think her suit. I'm laughing because I think her first suit is made out of like an old car or something. I read somewhere like, and so yeah, I agree. I think it's almost like Spider-Man where his little like PJ suit that he had, and then Tony comes along, and so I think she probably. I'm sure that Shuri doesn't know that probably her old friend, who's also a genius, that they somehow met somehow and whatever. And then somehow she finds out that that's the new Ironheart, this new character who just put together some like really weird suit with like a Volvo like grill or whatever. Yeah. And she'll probably be like, wait a second, let's do it right. And somehow will help her create like an incredible suit.
This was something that I kind of thought about after y'all were talking about Namor and Wakanda and stuff. What probably not going to happen. I'm just throwing this out here. What if Namor thinks that Wakanda's the reason that the Celestial is now out of the water, and that is the reason that he's like, wait, hey. We know where y'all are. Why'd y'all put this big giant thing in the? I'm just throwing out because I mean that kind of needs to be touched up on. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, because they still haven't mentioned anything about that giant celestial that's just kind of sticking out of the earth now.
But do they need to?
And I'm just thinking.
I mean,
does it have to be? Does every little thing have to be commented on in every other project? Though?
I feel like that's kind of a big thing, though.
Right.
Like...
there's a celestial hanging out of the water. Okay, like.
The only thing
how you make that into a story outside the Eternals at that point, right?
I mean, I guess you're right.
Also, I mean, the one thing too that you have to put, and I don't want to. There's not spoilers because no one knows, right? Namor's appearance also as like an anti-hero and his character is going to lead to, and historically, and I just went and looked up just to make sure I knew, because I when I look at comics and I read comics, and I tend to go to the classics just as far as like a vestige of time and whatever. Namor, the thing that excites me the most about Namor coming is another villain who is on the horizon and will be coming that's connected to Namor. And I think that's going to have something to do with this whole conflict as well. And we'll be pulling the strings. And I do think Doctor Doom is involved in somehow, because they teamed up early on. I mean, Namor's a bad guy.
Right. If it doesn't benefit his people, he really doesn't care. Like,
isn't he always trying to get with Sue Storm?
Yeah.
He was part of the Illuminati too. So
yeah.
The cover of his first Silver Age appearance is Fantastic Four 4, and then Doom is Fantastic Four 5, and Fantastic Four 4. The cover is basically Namor abducting and running into the sea with Sue Storm like in tow. So yeah. 100%.
But I mean, in the Illuminati comics, they have a conversation about like that happening with Namor and Sue Storm. Like Namor and Reed Richards actually talk about some sort of instance that happened. It's really fascinating because it was like all of them were in a room talking about some of their romantic issues that they were having that you never see in any medium, where you have 6 guys like having heartfelt conversations about their romantic problems, So I know we got sidetracked on that, but I just gotta say, like, yeah, you're exactly right. That was in the comics, and they had that whole conversation about that.
And Namor is a jerk. He teamed up with we were talking about earlier. There is and I haven't read it yet, but I'm going to in prep for this. For the movie there's a 2011 run where he floods Wakanda in comics, which I want to read. I'll probably text you all the issue on the Discord, but so we can take a look at it. But
yeah,
I think that's going to be some key reading for the series. But Namor just hates the upper world and basically wants it all to go underwater so it disappears so his people can be happy. I think in Fantastic Four, Michael, he's been exiled from Atlantis, correct?
I think historically, I think he's based off, because obviously, we know that Marvel and DC stole a lot from each other, right? I think historically he's based off.
What?
You say that? No, historically.
No,
so I thought someone said the name. Namor is sorry. Namor is based off of, we know Slade Wilson, Wade Wilson. There's always those jokes over time, but Namor historically is based off of Aquaman's brother, right? Who, if you saw the DC movie, Aquaman's brother wants to just like, he doesn't care about humanity. He just is like, all right, whatever. And Aquaman's obviously the bridge between humans and Atlanteans. So I think Namor, historically, because he came after Aquaman, I think, is based off, I think it's Orion or what's the name? And so, yeah, he's kind of a bad guy. I mean, I keep saying, yeah, he's not really a great, he's kind of a jerk. And so, yeah, he's an interesting character.
Here's my
I
question.
don't think
to the
they're gonna
group.
go with the jerk route. Sorry, yeah, I don't think they're gonna go with the jerk route. I think they're gonna show him as like the guy who's extremely violent to protect his people, and for him, it's gonna be any mean necessary. But at the end, I think we're really gonna have a conflict between the two nations. I don't know why, but like it will be a huge conflict. And then at the end, he might like either go back to the water and be like, I don't want to deal with you, or he might have a little change of heart, but just like a tiny bit, because we saw like the scene where he goes out of the water. The first one when he's younger, like everything is on fire, and then the second time it's like it seems like the civilization was built up again when he's older. So I feel like he's gonna be, I don't remember like the cartoon Atlantis, right? Like that, like the cartoon Atlantis from Disney, which was, I love Milo anyways. It's really good, but like there was, I think in the second one or whatever, there was like a group of Atlantean who did not want to communicate with humans because they were afraid of them, because they hurt them and stuff like that. So I think they're gonna play with that same theme. He was hurt, he lost his family, whatever, therefore he hate humans. So it's gonna humanize him a bit more, kind of.
And I think that's like, if we're thinking about the themes of Black Panther, the first one, and I think that's a theme that can carry over into this one, is about, national identity and, what's the right way to, revenge is the wrong word, but it's about extremism, right? And is extremism okay? Is it acceptable? Do you understand the arguments? Should you, the first one was all about the argument between Malcolm X and Martin Luther King, right? Is violence the way, or is it peaceful resistance? And what's the way? And this could continue that exploration of this theme of what does it mean to advocate for your people? What does it mean to, defend your people? And what are the rules of defending? And so I could see it being a continuation of that conversation that started in the first movie.
Absolutely.
My question to the group is we heard this word just recently in a certain Disney Plus show, but I wonder, do you think they will announce Namor as the mutant? Do you think they'll use the M word, or do you think they will?
Ooh.
Do you think they will keep, because he was the first mutant technically? So will they keep that origin, or will it be brand spanking new?
Well, what do you mean by first mutant?
I mean, he technically was the first mutant, like
that was written into the comics.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason why I say that is because, well, if you want to get technical,
Well,
like
yeah.
age, years ago, right? Yeah.
Right.
Well, because Namor started in the 40s, like, he was with Timely Comics, and it was Namor and the Human Torch, and Namor was one of the few that they brought back to the Silver Age as is, kind of. Human Torch obviously was rebooted as part of Fantastic Four. So it is interesting though, like that is fascinating.
Yeah, well, oh, I'm sorry. Amira, did you have something to say?
No. Just that to answer JT, I don't know if it's gonna be mutant, like X-Men mutant, or is it just gonna be he's Atlantean and that's his story.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the whole reason, I don't know if you all know the backstory behind mutants in Marvel, was Stan Lee just got tired of writing origin stories and figuring out, how this guy got this power, this girl got this one. So he just said, this group of people were born with it through a mutation. So he didn't have to discuss the origins anymore. And so it could just be right that in that way, it's like, so how did Namor get these powers to like live under the sea? He was born with them. So can we, right? So I do think that there's a great possibility that he will be classified as a mutant or an enhanced individual.
Yeah, I honestly don't know. With the M word being recently released in the MCU. I don't know exactly how they're going to approach it, especially now that we have the Fantastic Four and the X-Men, all those different shows coming into play. I don't know when they're actually going to introduce it, if it could be with Namor or what, but we'll have to wait until November to see. But it's only a few months away, and then we'll finally be at the end of phase 4. We are going on 2 hours, so I don't want to go over individual titles of phase 5. So what I want to do with this is we're going to go just really quickly over every title, and then why don't we say what each individual person is most excited for in phase 5, and then we'll get into the 3 titles quickly about phase 6.
Yeah,
So
because real quick, after phase 5, I do need to head out.
okay, that's totally fine. So phase 5, which starts in February with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That one is super exciting. We have Kane coming in as the big bad, and we have MODOK making an appearance. That seems super scary and sad. I'm scared for Scott Lang. But then after that, we have Secret Invasion coming in the spring of 2023, and that takes Nick Fury and the Skrulls, and that's super exciting because it is obviously setting up Secret Wars down the road. But we have that for the first thing coming out as far as the shows for Disney Plus. And then we have Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which we all know is going to be incredibly emotional. We got some first looks at Baby Rocket and things like that. So it is going to be tugging on the heartstrings, as we know this is the conclusion of our version of the Guardians. And then after that, we have Echo, which is taking Alakwa Cox's character from the Hawkeye show, and she has her own show where we're going to see, again, Daredevil and Kingpin, different characters like that. And then Loki season 2, where we have Loki and Mobius and Sylvie and the TVA. What is going on after the events of Loki season 1 that set up the whole multiverse of madness? And then after that, we have the Marvels. We get to see Kamala Khan and Monica Rambeau and everybody again. I don't know. I need to see what happened after, how they switch places, everything like that. So I'm super excited for that. That's just over a year away on July 28th of 2000, or no, July 28th of 2023. So just over a year away until the Marvels. And then after that, we have Blade, which is making his first MCU appearance. Super, super excited for that. We got his voice in the post-credit scene of the Eternals, and now we actually get to see the face in the MCU, and that's coming out in November of 2023. And then after that, we have Ironheart, which we're going to get. We talked about her a little bit. Riri Williams' first look at Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, kind of taking over for Iron Man in that sense. And then we have Agatha, no longer House of Harkness, but it is Coven of Chaos. I don't know the story for this, but I'm really excited. I loved Agatha. I love Catherine Hahn, so I'm excited for that. And then the most anticipated project for probably most people here, Daredevil Born Again is coming. He is coming back to Disney Plus in spring of 2024. After that, we have Captain America 4 New World Order, where we see Sam Wilson as Captain America in his first film, and hopefully we get to see more Bucky because I am a Bucky stan. And then to conclude, the phase 5 is the team up the Thunderbolts, and that's going to be in July of 2024. And so 2 years away is when we're getting the end of phase 5. Tons of stuff. Personally, what I'm most excited for, it's really, really hard, but Daredevil, obviously, I'm super, super excited for. But I have to say, I am probably most excited for Blade, just because I really like the character. I like the original movies. I like vampires. I like the comics and things like that. So I'm really excited to see Blade. That's probably my most anticipated, to see how they incorporate him into the MCU.
Can I want to say one thing? Can we all just give Donovan a round of applause for going through that entire situation, which I got exhausted just like
I was reading along and I was still tired.
So well done, my friend. Very well done.
I guess I'll go. My most anticipated is actually probably the Marvels, just because I've always been a Captain Marvel fan, and then with Ms. Marvel being added in, and then everything else, that's probably my most anticipated. And then like second place would probably be Loki season 2, because I was obsessed with the first show. So
I think for me, my most anticipated movie, I'll do a movie and a show. My most anticipated movie, oh man, it's probably gonna have to be Captain America: New World Order. I love that title name. That it just brings it just seems like a thrilling movie. like what world order is coming, what's going to happen. We finally get to see Sam Wilson as Captain America, which we all know that was amazing at the end of Falcon and Winter Soldier. But my most anticipated TV show is Secret Invasion, because who can you trust now?
Right.
You never know. You do not know who you can trust. So
Not Nick Fury.
Hey, you never know. But
did any of us really ever trust Nick Fury to the fullest though?
True.
Like
I did. He's Sam Jackson.
Yeah, there you go.
that only gets you past half the time.
I have to agree with all those choices. I'm gonna have to go with the first. I'm gonna have to go with Ant-Man, just because I can go, you can tie Loki in there too, but I think the Kang situation and the chills that we saw or we didn't see, but we kind of saw, because there's been leaks, whatever, from the Ant-Man clips. I think the fact that, and we're going to get into phase 6 in a few minutes, but the fact that we know they're doubling down, so we know Kang is not going to be a one and done kind of situation. So I'm excited to see what, like, his iterations, and we know in the comics he has so many iterations. It's going to be insane. So I'm excited to see that, because he obviously is the new big bad of this saga, or one of. I think there's going to be multiple, but I think he's right up there. So I'm excited to see him really kind of like flushed out in complete villain form.
Okay, so I thought you said 3, so I was like torturing myself. Trying to 3. I was like, which one am I gonna choose? And now everybody's saying 1. I'm like,
You're all good. Say all your 3.
Yeah, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. Sorry, guys. So I'm gonna do the Marvels, because I have like the list here. So, but the Marvels, because obviously I cannot wait to see Kamala. I cannot wait to see her kind of go through the thing of like meeting your hero, but then they say never meet your heroes. So there's gonna be this whole thing with like Monica also. I just cannot wait to see that. But also, okay, Ant-Man, just because I love Jonathan Mayers like so much, and he's like, ugh! And like, because Kevin Feige said like he's leaving like the weight of this whole, like, these next phases on his shoulder, and my God, like I just cannot wait to see Kang, his version of Kang. And I know that he has the range to give us like 10 different versions of Kang, so I'm really excited about that. That's it. I'm gonna stop at 2. I feel like I'm good.
I will let everybody guess what my most anticipated show.
I am
Doctor
Groot.
Strange. It's Doctor Strange. Don't let him.
Oh,
It
yeah,
is not
sure.
Doctor Strange. Do not. No, I am.
You're gonna
very
get
excited.
a cake for Christmas, just so you know.
Yeah. I'm very excited for Daredevil, and I think the fact that this is getting an 18 episode series is very interesting and fantastic. So I love the character from the comics. I loved the show. I even loved the movie with Ben Affleck in it, which I know a lot of people didn't like that movie. I love that one. I just love anything that was Daredevil. So
That was my first exposure to Daredevil.
Yeah,
so.
me too.
Yeah. I read the comics, so seeing him on the screen was just heaven sent for me. But yeah, so I'm very excited to have Daredevil back in MCU, but getting his own series with 18 episodes, and I'm very interested to see what the Born Again storyline they're going with, because just like what Michael said earlier, that was pretty much season 3 of the Netflix. I mean, they took some liberties with it, but that was essentially what it was. So I'm really interested to see what the Born Again storyline is going to be with that. So.
Man, who's left?
Is that you get to go yet?
Yeah, I think you're left, man.
Yeah, I
Oh,
think it's
okay.
Micah.
I'm gonna go. Listening to all these, right? Like, how do you choose one? I'm excited about all of them. Like Amira said at the very beginning, like, we're gonna go watch all these movies because they're awesome, and I'm just super excited about. I just gotta say, and I know I say this a lot, I am just so excited about this era of content that we live in. And growing up in the 80s, and just some of the garbage that we were morsels. It was like, watch The Incredible Hulk, which by the way was a great TV show, but watch the movies and the Thor and Daredevil that we were given. It was like some budget, like rental. And so to have this is just, I'm
Captain America wear a motorcycle helmet, right?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I had repressed that. So thank you.
It's a fantastic movie. What are you talking about?
Oh, dude, the VFX in that
His
movie
shield-
are top notch.
His shield throwing capabilities, outlast Chris Evans by far because he didn't throw it like a frisbee at all.
I do think actually, I'm going to call this one now. I think the sleeper in the group is going to be the Thunderbolts. I think people are going to sleep on it. And I actually think that that's going to be the one that's going to be the most fan pleasing because I think Sam Wilson's going to be in it. I think you might get the Young Avengers. I think you might get the most number of heroes coming together to thwart the Thunderbolts. And, so I actually think that's going to be a sleeper, but I think it's going to be I think it has a ton of potential to be this really amazingly fun story. And we're going to kind of get to what we didn't get to see in phase 3 was Steve and Natasha and Sam going underground and their Dark Avengers. And so I think that to create the Dark Avengers in contrast to the Thunderbolts and to actually see a clandestine group of superheroes that are kind of having to be underground because the Thunderbolts are being lauded as America's heroes and whatnot. And to actually see what that's like and that tension, I think will be really cool. So that's my sleeper. And then I really like Loki. I know not everybody loved Loki, but I loved the dynamic between him and Morbius.
I think more people liked Loki than admit that they liked Loki.
Morbius. I said Morbius. I meant Mobius.
Morbius.
No.
Morbius is showing up in season 2 of Loki.
Amira's face gave it away. She just said.
I said it. And I saw Amira's face.
It's because I'm looking at the time. I'm doing a stream party for Miss Marvel, so I'm looking at the time. Then I heard Morbius. I was like, I'm stopping everything. What did you just say? But yeah, go ahead.
Are we? So
Morbius and Loki. I'm just really excited about that. So
is Val the leader of the Thunderbolts or the Dark Avengers? Or so I mean
Thunderbolts.
Okay,
they're setting her up to be the leader of the Thunderbolts.
So I mean, you can't go wrong with Julia Louis-Dreyfus, and then also, I mean, who doesn't want? I'm dying to see a Sam Jackson, Julia Louis scene of some sort with the two of them interacting. That will be perfection.
Did you hear that, Marvel? Make it happen.
Take notes.
I'm interested to see Val just show up in each of these movies and then have her big hurrah be in Thunderbolts. Like we've already seen her in Falcon and Winter Soldier with
Black
US
Widow.
Agent. Yeah, we've seen her in Black Widow. So I think the next one might be in She-Hulk, throwing that out there with Abomination. And then maybe some other tie-ins here and there without kind of giving it's setting up its own movie within cameos per se. So I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah, well, it looks like we all are excited for absolutely everything coming from Marvel. So
pretty much
to be expected. Jeremy,
Thank God
real
there's
quick,
nothing
guys,
exciting.
I do have
Thank
to head
God there's
out.
nothing exciting in phase 6 coming.
Oh, nothing. All
Nothing
right,
at
Jeremy.
all.
Well, you have a great night. Thank you
Yep,
for
you guys
joining
too.
us.
Thanks for having me in. A good meeting a few of you that I haven't gotten a chance to meet before. So this was nice. Good to see faces and not just text on a screen.
Absolutely. We'll sleep well and we'll talk to you later.
All right. I'll see you guys next time for sure.
All right, and now just very, very quick, we have to go over the phase 6. We only got 3 projects of that named. The first one, which is Fantastic Four. We are finally getting them in the MCU. And then we did get the titles of the last two Avenger movies within 6 months of each other. Mind blowing. They're setting it up similar to how they ended the Infinity Saga. There's going to be 2 Avengers movies to end it. The first one is going to be Avengers Kang Dynasty. So obviously Kang is here for the long run. And then the final movie of not only phase 6, but of the whole multiverse saga is Avengers Secret Wars. So that these 3 are the only things that we got. There are 8 more projects to be revealed yet for phase 6. But quickly, what are your thoughts on these 3? I'm super excited to see the Fantastic Four come into the MCU. I love the original movies from the 2000s. Johnny Storm was my awakening into absolutely everything Chris Evans. I have been in love with him ever since. But I'm very excited for that, and I'm very excited to see. I don't know much about Secret Wars and everything, but I've heard a lot of things from TikTok, and I know that it's going to be absolutely mind-blowing. So I'm here for it. I'm excited. I assume you guys are too.
Donovan, do you
Yes.
have Marvel Unlimited, by the way?
I do. I don't even know where to begin with Marvel Unlimited because there's so much.
I'm actually going to suggest something to you, if it's okay, which
Yeah.
is to start with Secret Wars.
Okay.
Just
So-
start with Secret Wars and then work your way backwards. Read
Okay.
through Secret Wars and then work your way backwards through the threads, Avengers, Illuminati, whatnot. And then that'll take you through from 2015 to 2017. And then work your way back. It'll take you to about 2010.
Okay.
And we'll see, and then you'll know where it's going, and it'll make a lot of sense which runs you need to read to lead up to it. And I'm pretty sure Marvel Unlimited kind of paces it all out for
Okay.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there
I'll
might be a
definitely
reading
have to read
guide.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they might have a reading guide, which is really nice, Donovan, and anyone who's watching, is that Marvel Unlimited have reading guides where they actually pull out issues to kind of help you kind of know some of the stories that's happening in that bigger arc. But they also tell you, you can actually look it up by collections as well too. So they do a really good job of like trying to what's the word I'm looking for? Curate a collection to help you to know like where to start with some of these events and things like that. So
And
yeah,
that's,
I agree.
I think actually Secret Wars 2015 is just a
Mhm.
great place to start, because you have this
Yes.
collection of everybody just jammed together. And then you slowly start to unravel. Then what's fun, or at least what I think is fun, is unraveling, who the maker is and what Reed Richards is doing there. How did he get here? How did these guys get here? What's going on over here? And then from there, and this is what I think will be the end of phase 6, is the springboard into the battle realm.
Mhm.
And seeing all these separate worlds. Like you can go into the A-Team, or not A-Team. What's the women?
A-Force.
A-Force.
Yeah.
Thank you. You can go into A-Force and
Mhm.
go into Renew Your Vows with where Peter and MJ are married and they have a kid, and you can go into all of these worlds. And I think that that's going to be a springboard for so many projects. So I'm super excited about Secret Wars.
Well, I think also what's cool about Secret Wars is, and I actually read that, which is it's rare. No, I think what is interesting about that as well, and I think we're all leading into it to what Micah said about Battle World and everyone together. There's no villains or heroes really in Secret Wars. Like essentially, and it really is parallel to what's happening with Kang, and what, He Who Remains said at the end of Loki was like, wait till you meet my variants. Like obviously the big villains I think are going to be all the Kang variants that are going to be just absolutely ruthless, and somehow leading into this like battle world, which is isolated and everyone's trying to figure out what's going on. And you have, God Doom, and, he's kind of an anti-hero, it's fascinating, and all the different threads that are there. And like he said, the maker, which is essentially like what the ultimate version of Reed Richards, right? Like it's the ultimate.
It's the abused version of Reed Richards.
Yeah.
So he has to suffer with the trauma of abuse and kills his father, I think is the
And so that really was how, at that time, when everything was going on with Civil War II and everything like that, Marvel was trying to figure out how to bring back the classic characters that they knew and love, and how to make room for both Miles and Peter Parker. And, Peter had been died in the Ultimate, franchise. And that was the bridge to everything. And I think that is what Mike is saying too, is we're going to have, it is the first time for me where, if you really think about globally the entire phase, and then I'll stop, but it feels like a real life comic book, where there's going to be all these different plot lines going on, where I mean, phase 1 and phase 2, everything's leading towards something. And I think that was the thing that really people like clean, right? They like clean and neat and organized. I don't think we have that now. We're not going to have that again. We really have a Marvel universe now. We will leading into it, where we're going to have, I think, everything leading up to Secret. I mean, Fantastic Four, I don't know how they're going to do that, where that's going to be a completely different, I think, a different realm. And I don't know if it's going to be the 838 or 616 or whatever it's going to be. But that somehow is going to be a different timeline that's going to bridge into Secret Wars, I think. And so I think it's going to be just fascinating to see how they bring everything together. And it's going to be literally like a comic book universe threw up on screen, and which is going to be great. There's all these different there. So it's going to be fascinating to see.
Yeah. I think it's definitely leading up to try to bridge everything under the same MCU continuity now that they have all the rights to all the Fox properties and everything like that. Like it definitely makes sense why they ordered the movies the way they did with Fantastic Four and the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars and everything. So I am just really blown by the fact that we're going to get 2 Avengers movie in the same year. And the fact that phase 1 through 3 was a culmination of 10 years. And phase 4, 5, and 6 is almost half that. And so it's really curious to see, because I think everybody, and I know myself included, is thinking like, the next set of phases is going to be very similar to how phase 1 through 3 is. And I think with this revelation about how phase 6 is actually ending a lot sooner than we thought, that, the phases really don't have any sort of structure in terms of reflecting what happened before and all that. And so everything is kind of a guessing game now in terms of a phase is just a number for Marvel, and it doesn't really mean anything other than that's how they organize everything. So, yeah.
It's like the evolution of Star Wars with like Legends books and comics. And we're getting, I think, phase 1 through 3. And then I don't want to, phase 1 through 3 was kind of almost like the proof point, right? It grew and got huge, and now they're just doing anything. And so I think we're going to get a little bit of everything, and it's going to be, the mediums have just grown, and we're going to continue to see that. And it's just going to be fascinating to see that there's going to be all different kinds of stuff to try out and experiment with.
Right.
When I was reading and kind of looking over the dates and stuff, the only thing that hit me was I'm putting an asterisk by every single one of these dates, because I guarantee you at least a majority of them will be pushed back or move forward or switch dates. So seeing the 2 Avengers movies 6 months apart, it's not happening. Like as much as I want that to happen, it's not going to. Real world stuff happens. Conflict of scheduling happens, especially with Secret Wars, because you're going to have to bring everyone. You have to bring the whole gang back to do that movie. And, if you can't get one person, okay, well, then we got to do reshoots, and then we got to do this and that. So having them so close together, it's nice to have a visual timeline in my head. I can say, okay, this movie's going to be out in this one. But like, if you really look at it, Donovan, if you go back and you talk about all the things, next summer of 2023, we're getting like 6 projects.
Right.
That's wild. That is insane. And I don't think, being the realistic person in me is like, no, that's not happening. Like there's no way that could happen with as much content as they're literally just throwing it up right now. Like, it's just like, here you go, take this, take that. So,
right.
But I'm okay with it. Hey,
we'll take it.
It's been the theme of this entire call is we're gonna watch it no matter what. So
we went like 3 years without jam it down my throat.
Exactly. So look, Fantastic Four is the one that I'm looking forward to the most. I don't consider Fan4stick a movie. So it's been a while since we've seen the Fantastic Four on the big screen. And I guess you can Reed Richards and Multiverse of Madness, but regardless, it's been a while since we've seen the first family there. And so I'm excited to see, who's going to be in the cast, which I think they might announce at D23, which would be awesome. But like you said, we have like 8 more projects to announce in phase 6. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, no, like for me, to be honest, I'm really excited. At the same time, I don't think that Secret War is necessarily gonna end with phase 6. It's still, I mean, I know we're like, I'm thinking like way ahead, but like maybe the consequences of Secret War are gonna be phase 7. I'm like just thinking of like what happens next. And I'm really excited. And like the fact that the other Avenger movie is called Kang Dynasty. So like a dynasty could be in the past, but it could also be in the future. There's always a continuation of a dynasty, or at least like some sort of like you know, whatever, I just have the word in French, but that's okay. Like some like, you know, when like an empire is like destroyed and then you still have like some architectures and stuff like that. So you can still see remains of Kang in the future, right? So I don't know who told me. I think it's one of you. I'm not sure who it is. That Kang, I think it's you, Sean. That Kang might be like linked to Reed Richard and like a family thing, stuff like that. So like there's so much to like that we can use for other phases. So I'm really, really excited. And funny that you guys said to read Secret Wars first, because I that's what I did a year ago. I read just the main event because I was tired of everybody talking about something that I did not understand. So I was like, okay, I went on Marvel Unlimited. I read the main event, and after that, I was just like, I was hooked. That was just like, and I just started reading. I'm doing it slowly but surely. Now I'm reading the Ultimate Spider-Man, but it's really fun. It's really fun to finally kind of understand and be able to predict, because you have a certain understanding of comics. Obviously, you don't have to follow the comics, but it gives you kind of something. So yeah, I'm really excited for this new phases. We can't hear you.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, I wanted to just add on to that. But let's not sleep on Multiverse of Madness and how it's going to set up phase 6, because so basically, I think Michael was saying that what they had to do was they had created this ultimate universe in the Marvel comics, and they had the main continuity so they could do some more mature stuff. And then they wanted just to get all of their toys back in the same sandbox. And they also wanted to sideline the Fantastic Four. But that's another story for another time.
I do apologize. I'm sorry. I do have to leave. Unfortunately, I'm starting my stream. Thank you so much, everybody.
No, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
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 So it was this incursion. Basically, all the multiverses started to collapse and whatnot. And then there were finally these 2 Earths left, and they were about to collide with each other. And then that creates the battle world. And so Earth 838 and Earth 616 in the MCU, I think, are being set up as those 2 worlds that are going to collide. And what I want to see is, I want to see Val and Franklin Richards from Earth 838 try to go to Earth 616 to extract revenge for killing their father. That's the Fantastic Four story I want to see. And kind of a reverse Multiverse of Madness, instead of like trying to find their parents, but like actually just to come in and have revenge and whatnot. And this could also, and granted, Nathaniel Richards is so many generations later from Reed Richards, but that this Earth 838 either doesn't produce its own Kang or is like the prime Kang.
Right.
Comes in. And so I think that we're going to get this like wild multiversal Fantastic Four. We're not going to have to go into their origins or anything like that, how they got their powers, but just go straight into like a classic Fantastic Four negative universe type of story. And I really think that Multiverse of Madness has set up a lot of what we're going to see in Fantastic Four. Just my.
And you mentioned it earlier when you said about Dark Avengers too. I mean, people don't, like, some people that don't read the comics don't know, like Dark Avengers, like one of the Young Avengers is a variant of Kang. It's Iron Lad, so it's basically a good version of Kang. So, I mean, it opens up so the Pandora's box of different scenarios and possibilities is insane for what they can do with this. So yeah, it just keeps, I mean, there's scenarios where like Doom and Sue Storm are together, and Valeria is like their dog. I mean, it's just so many different situations and scenarios and whatnot. And that's why I think like when we see Secret Wars. I don't know. I think it's not going to be like, oh, Thanos trying to take over this or this person trying to do that. It's going to be like, how do we save? What do we save? How do we save what? And that's how Secret Wars is in the comics. And there's going to be so many shades of grace to all these characters and what they do and how they are. And it's going to be it's a very long leap from Captain America and Steve being like, we don't trade lives. Like that's so long and gone. And now it's going to be like, well, which billions do we sacrifice to save this? It's going to be crazy.
And I think it's going to end on a positive note. The Secret Wars ends with Franklin Richards recreating the multiverse and creating life. So that's where I really think they need to bring Franklin Richards into the story at some point, because I think he's so crucial to the happy ending ultimately. And it would be great to see him have this arc of anger and destruction and maybe helping out his great-great-grandson and in Kang to take over the multiverse, and then realizing the error in that and turning to create life as opposed to destroy it, to create universes as opposed to trim universes, which is what Kang does. So I'm really excited for phase 6. And I think there's a lot of possibilities, and we're going to just have so many characters that we've always wanted to see in live action. So I'm just super excited about that.
Well, the other thing about Secret Wars 2 that was a nod to, you said like everyone back in their sandbox, like it was, I mean, if you think of the business angle of this, and this, I'll talk about this for like a second, but like, we had X-23 at the time was big. We had Miles Morales was big. And I think a lot of people wanted also to have Peter back and Logan back, Logan had died, and all these different characters. And so it'll be interesting to see how they handle that stuff. We haven't seen Laura in forever since Logan. I don't know if that's even an option to bring her back. I mean, we have to. She's such a huge character. So it will be interesting to see like all these different characters they can bring in. And I mean, it's wide open. So yeah, I mean, that's going to be fascinating to see.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we have a very, very packed next 3 years, and I am very excited to see what the multiverse saga, where it's going to take us, how it's going to end. And I'm very excited that we got to discuss this, because it has been driving me absolutely wild since I heard all these announcements. So it is very great that we got to talk about our favorites, what we're excited for, and everything like that. But other than that, if you guys watching along want to follow along, Nerd Initiative on all social media, so you guys can see all these kinds of fun things that we do here on our site. Other than that, you guys have a great rest of your night, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.